What happens when a young woman's dream road trip ends in tragedy? Gabby Petito's case shocked the world. Her disappearance sparked a nationwide search, and what was discovered next left everyone stunned. Join us as we uncover the heartbreaking mystery of what really happened to Gabby. In the summer of 2021, Gabby Petito, a 22-year-old from Blue Point, New York, set out on a road trip across the United States with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie. It was supposed to be the trip of a lifetime, filled with adventure and new memories. But something went terribly wrong. Gabby went missing, and the world was left wondering what happened to her. Over a month later, Gabby's body was found, and the world was left with many unanswered questions. In today's video, we dive deep into the case, exploring the facts, theories, and the unanswered questions that still haunt Gabby's family. Who was Gabby Petito? Gabby Petito was a 22-year-old woman from a small town in New York called Blue Point. Gabby had big dreams, and she loved to share them with the world. She was always smiling and full of life, and everyone who knew her said she was kind, caring, and funny. Gabby had a big heart, and she made people feel special with her warm smile. Gabby worked as a van life vlogger. This means she made videos about her travels and adventures while living in a van. She loved to travel, meet new people, and see the beautiful parts of the world. Her job was special because she got to share her trips with everyone through social media. Gabby's Instagram was filled with pictures of amazing places, like mountains, beaches, and wide open roads. She loved taking photos and videos to show how beautiful the world could be. Gabby's followers on social media loved her because she made life look exciting and fun. She loved inspiring others to chase their dreams too. Before she began her road trip, Gabby had dreams of becoming a successful content creator. She wanted to travel the world, take beautiful pictures, and make videos about her adventures. Gabby was full of ambition, and she worked hard to build a life that reflected her love for travel, photography, and creativity. Gabby's journey. In the summer of 2021, Gabby decided to go on the adventure of a lifetime. She and her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, planned a cross-country road trip. They would travel in a van, visiting national parks and other scenic spots around the United States. Gabby was excited. This was her dream come true. She posted pictures and videos from her travels, showing everyone how happy and free she felt. Gabby's followers watched her journey and were inspired by her positive energy. Gabby was also very close to her family and often talked about them on her social media. She loved sharing her life with her family and friends, and they supported her every step of the way. Gabby's parents said she was always the bright, cheerful person in the room who made everyone laugh. She loved being around her family, and they loved her back just as much. Gabby was more than just a social media star. To the people who knew her, she was a caring daughter, a loving fiancé, and a loyal friend. Her friends said that she was always there to lend a helping hand. She would listen to others and cheer them on when they needed it most. Gabby had an amazing ability to make people feel good about themselves. Her mother, Nicole, remembered her as a kind and thoughtful person who always had a positive outlook on life. Nicole said Gabby had an infectious laugh and a heart that made everyone around her feel loved. Gabby's stepfather, Jim, described her as a bright and hard-working young woman who loved exploring new places. Gabby's dad, Joe, said she was his little girl, and that they had a close, loving relationship. Gabby was also known for her adventurous spirit. She loved the outdoors and often shared photos of herself hiking or enjoying nature. She was very independent and always seeking new experiences. She believed in living life to the fullest, and her adventures were a reflection of that belief. Gabby's dream was to build a life where she could continue to travel, inspire others, and be creative. She wanted to share her experiences with people, helping them see the beauty in the world around them. Gabby wanted to build a career doing what she loved, and she was working hard to make that happen. She also dreamed of having a family of her own one day, where she could share her love of adventure with her children. She loved animals and dreamed of having a little family of pets to share her travels with. Gabby's dream was simple but beautiful: to be happy and to help others find joy in their own lives. The people who loved Gabby. Gabby was loved by many, including her family, friends, and fans. Her kindness and bright personality made her stand out. Gabby had a way of making everyone around her feel special, and that's why so many people were drawn to her. She was someone who made life more exciting just by being herself. Her friends described her as someone who always brought joy and laughter into their lives. One of her best friends said that Gabby was like a sister to her, always there to offer support and encouragement. Gabby had a special bond with her fiancé, Brian, too. They had been together for a while and enjoyed exploring the world together. Gabby was excited about the future and all the adventures she and Brian would share. Gabby Petito was more than just a young woman on a road trip. She was a person full of dreams, kindness, and love. She touched the hearts of everyone who knew her and inspired others to follow their own dreams. Gabby's life was filled with excitement and adventure, but sadly, her story was cut short. The world may have lost her, but Gabby's memory and the impact she made will live on forever. What was Gabby doing before she disappeared? Gabby's journey was supposed to be the adventure of a lifetime, filled with breathtaking views, new places, and unforgettable memories. She and her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, set off on their road trip in the summer of 2021. They were excited to visit national parks, hike through mountains, and take beautiful pictures along the way. Gabby shared these moments on her Instagram account, posting photos of stunning landscapes, selfies, and moments of pure happiness. Her followers were excited to see what was next for her as they watched her live her dream. But as her posts on social media slowed down, something started to feel wrong. Her last Instagram post, before Gabby disappeared, she was in Wyoming. She and Brian had stopped at a place called Grand Teton National Park, where she shared her last Instagram post on August 25, 2021. In the photo, she is smiling, standing in front of a stunning mountain view with the caption, "Happy Place." The picture looked beautiful, and Gabby seemed so happy, just like in all her other posts. But after that post, there were no more updates, no more photos or videos from Gabby. It wasn't like her at all. Her followers noticed this and started asking questions. Where was she? Why hadn't she posted anything new? The disappearance. A few days after Gabby's last post, she stopped communicating with her family. Her mother, Nicole, said that she had been in regular contact with her daughter. Gabby would call or send a message, telling her about her travels and how much fun she was having. But after August 25th, there was nothing. On August 30th, Gabby's mother received her last text message. The message was a short one, and some people think it sounded strange. It said, "No service in Yosemite," but Gabby had never mentioned going to Yosemite National Park. This worried Nicole, but she didn't think much of it at first. Maybe Gabby was just busy with the trip, she thought. However, the lack of contact continued, and it became clear something was wrong. Gabby's parents started to worry, but they couldn't do anything until they knew for sure that Gabby was missing. Brian returns without Gabby. On September 1st, 2021, Brian returned home to Florida in the van that Gabby had been using for their road trip. But there was something strange. He was alone. He didn't tell anyone what happened to Gabby. He didn't explain where she was or why she hadn't returned with him. Brian's silence and refusal to speak to Gabby's family made them even more worried. Brian's return without Gabby was the beginning of the mystery. It was clear that something had happened to her, but no one knew what. As the days went by, Gabby's family started to panic. They couldn't understand why they hadn't heard from her. Gabby's parents, Nicole and Joe, went to the police for help. They reported her missing on September 11, 2021, after being unable to reach her for several days. They knew that something wasn't right, and they couldn't just sit back and wait for answers. The search for Gabby began almost immediately. The police in Florida, where Brian was staying, and the police in Wyoming, where Gabby had last been, started looking for her. News about Gabby's disappearance spread across the country, and soon people all over the world were wondering what had happened to her. The discovery of Gabby's body. On September 19, 2021, after nearly a week of searching, Gabby's body was found in a remote area of Wyoming called Spread Creek. The location wasn't far from where she had last been seen posting on social media. The cause of death was determined to be homicide, and it was clear that Gabby had met with foul play. This discovery brought immense sadness and heartbreak to her family. Gabby's dream of traveling the world had turned into a nightmare. Her family, who had loved and supported her throughout her life, were now left with so many questions. What happened to Brian? After Gabby's body was found, the focus shifted to Brian. He had returned to Florida without her, and he refused to talk about what had happened. On September 17th, just a few days before Gabby's body was found, Brian went missing himself. The police began searching for him, but he was nowhere to be found. This only added to the mystery. Was Brian involved in Gabby's death? Why did he leave her behind? On October 20th, 2021, after weeks of searching, Brian's body was found in a park in Florida. The cause of death was ruled as suicide. His death left many unanswered questions. Why had he gone missing? Why didn't he tell anyone where Gabby was? And most importantly, did he have something to do with her death? Gabby's story didn't just touch her family. It touched people all over the world. Her disappearance and the mystery surrounding her death sparked conversations about relationships, mental health, and the importance of speaking out when something doesn't feel right. Her family honored her memory by starting the Gabby Petito Foundation, which works to help find missing persons and provide support for families who are going through similar situations. Gabby's story serves as a reminder to never give up on finding the truth, and it helps to raise awareness about the dangers that can be hidden in plain sight. Gabby Petito's life was cut short, but her memory lives on in the hearts of everyone who was touched by her story. Her case is still a mystery, and her family continues to seek justice in her name. The world may never know exactly what happened, but Gabby's legacy is one of love, hope, and strength in the face of unimaginable loss. What happened when Gabby went missing? Gabby Petito's disappearance in August 2021 shocked the world. Her family and friends, who had been so used to her regular updates and social media posts, suddenly found themselves in a terrifying situation with no answers. Gabby's family was frantic, and her followers on Instagram and YouTube were worried, but they didn't know what had happened to her. It all started when Gabby and her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, set off on their cross-country road trip in the summer of 2021. They were traveling in a van, visiting national parks, and documenting their adventures on social media. Gabby posted happy pictures of her travels, showing beautiful mountains, campfires, and stunning landscapes. Her last post was on August 25, 2021, in Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. In the photo, she was smiling in front of a beautiful mountain view, saying it was her happy place. But after that post, things went silent. Gabby stopped updating her social media, and her family didn't hear from her. This was strange because Gabby was very close to her family, and she always kept in touch with them. Her mother, Nicole, hadn't received any more texts or phone calls, and that made her worried. Gabby's last known communication was a text on August 30th, 2021, to her mom. It said, "No service in Yosemite." But Gabby had never mentioned going to Yosemite. This text was unusual, and her mom started feeling even more concerned. Why was Gabby out of touch? Why didn't she mention going to a new place? On September 1st, 2021, Brian Laundrie returned to his home in Florida, alone. He was driving the van that Gabby and he had been using for their trip, but Gabby was not with him. Brian didn't tell anyone where Gabby was or what happened to her. He didn't tell her family anything, and he didn't offer an explanation for why he had returned without her. He didn't speak to Gabby's parents, and he stayed quiet. This was very strange. Gabby's family was desperate for answers, but Brian wasn't saying anything. Gabby's parents had already tried to reach out to her, but there was no word from her. They had no idea where she was or why she hadn't contacted them. Gabby's family was starting to fear the worst, and they reported her missing to the police on September 11th, 2021. As soon as Gabby was reported missing, the search for her began. The police started to investigate, trying to piece together what had happened. Gabby's case quickly gained national attention, with news outlets covering the story and people all over the country asking, "Where's Gabby Petito?" The FBI and local police started working together to track down leads. Gabby's last known location was Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming, so the search focused there. The authorities started looking for any signs of where Gabby might have gone or what could have happened to her. Social media played a huge role in the search, with many people sharing the story and trying to help. People who had been to the same places Gabby had visited started coming forward with information. Some even thought they had seen her at certain locations, but none of this led to solid clues. Brian's silence and the public's growing suspicion. As the search continued, Brian Laundrie remained silent. He didn't speak to the police or Gabby's family. He hired an attorney and refused to cooperate with the investigation. This made people even more suspicious. Why wasn't Brian helping? Why wasn't he talking about where Gabby was or what happened to her? As the days passed, people on social media and in the news began to question Brian's role in Gabby's disappearance. Was he involved in her disappearance? Had something happened during their road trip that led to Gabby's death? The police were focusing on Brian, trying to figure out what he knew, but he was not helping. His refusal to speak only raised more questions. On September 19, 2021, after an intense search in the Wyoming wilderness, Gabby's body was discovered in a remote area near Spread Creek, not far from Grand Teton National Park. This was the devastating news that everyone had been dreading. Gabby's family was heartbroken. The world felt like it had stopped. Gabby was gone, and her family was left with many unanswered questions. The authorities confirmed that Gabby's death was a homicide, meaning someone had killed her. This meant that Gabby's disappearance was no longer just a missing person case. It was now a murder investigation. Soon after Gabby's body was found, the focus shifted to Brian Laundrie. The police began searching for him, but he was nowhere to be found. On September 17, 2021, Brian had gone missing, and this made people even more suspicious. Why had Brian gone missing? What was he hiding? The police searched for Brian for weeks, but he was still nowhere to be found. It was as if he had disappeared into thin air. On October 20th, 2021, after weeks of searching, Brian's body was found in a Florida nature reserve. The cause of death was ruled a suicide. Brian's death only added more mystery to Gabby's case. What had happened during their trip? Why had Brian returned without Gabby? And why had he gone missing after Gabby's body was discovered? Even though Brian was gone, the questions surrounding Gabby's death still lingered. Was Brian responsible for her death? What really happened between them on that road trip? These questions remain unanswered, and Gabby's family continues to seek justice for her. The ongoing search for answers. Gabby Petito's story ended in tragedy, but the mystery of her disappearance and death continues to haunt everyone who followed her case. Her family and friends have worked hard to keep her memory alive and to seek justice for her death. The world may never know exactly what happened during Gabby's road trip, but her story reminds us of the importance of speaking out, asking questions, and seeking the truth. Gabby Petito may be gone, but her story will never be forgotten. What were the theories? After Gabby Petito was found dead, the world was left with many questions, and people began to form different theories about what had happened to her. Some of these theories made sense, while others were far more speculative. But all of them were trying to understand the mystery of her disappearance and what led to her tragic death. Let's take a look at some of the most talked about theories that people considered during the investigation. Theory 1. Brian Laundrie was responsible. One of the first and most widely discussed theories was that Brian Laundrie was responsible for Gabby's death. This theory became more likely after Gabby's body was found, and the focus shifted to Brian. People began to ask, why had Brian returned home without her? Why had he refused to cooperate with the police? Many believed that Brian's silence and refusal to answer questions about Gabby's disappearance were signs that he might have been involved in her death. The fact that he didn't offer any explanation about what had happened or where Gabby was only raised more suspicions. Some people thought that an argument or fight might have occurred between Gabby and Brian during their road trip, which eventually led to her death. There were also reports that Gabby had been in contact with her family regularly during the trip, but those calls stopped when she was with Brian. This made it even more suspicious. Additionally, Brian's actions after Gabby's disappearance seemed to add to the theory. When he returned to Florida without her and didn't tell anyone what happened, many saw this as a sign of guilt. His sudden disappearance added more fuel to this theory, leading many to believe that he was trying to avoid facing the consequences. Theory 2. Gabby's death was an accident. Another theory suggested that Gabby's death might have been an accident. This theory proposed that something went wrong during the trip, perhaps an argument between Gabby and Brian, which ended in a tragic mistake. Maybe there was an accidental injury that led to Gabby's death. Some believed that the couple had been under a lot of stress, living in a small van together and traveling across the country. It's possible that the pressures of the road trip, combined with personal issues between the couple, led to an argument that escalated quickly. According to this theory, Gabby might have been accidentally harmed during an argument or while in a dangerous situation. The idea that it was an accident rather than a murder still left many questions unanswered, but it gave people a way to explain Gabby's death without assigning blame directly to Brian. However, this theory lost some credibility when it was revealed that Brian had left the scene without telling anyone where Gabby was and didn't try to report the incident or seek help. Theory 3. A stranger was involved. Another theory that some people discussed was the possibility that a stranger might have been involved in Gabby's disappearance. According to this theory, Gabby and Brian could have been victims of a random crime while traveling. Perhaps someone had seen Gabby and Brian on their road trip and decided to harm them. Some believed that the couple may have been in the wrong place at the wrong time, and someone might have taken advantage of the situation. This theory gained some traction because Gabby and Brian were in unfamiliar places where they didn't know anyone, and sometimes people can be vulnerable in unfamiliar environments. However, this theory didn't have much supporting evidence. There were no signs of forced entry, and Gabby and Brian were in public places during much of the trip. Most people found it hard to believe that a random person could have harmed Gabby without leaving any clues or signs. Still, some people held onto the idea that a stranger could have been involved, especially when Brian was being so secretive about what happened. Theory 4. Domestic violence or abuse. Another theory that gained attention was that Gabby might have been a victim of domestic violence or abuse. People began to question the dynamics of Gabby and Brian's relationship, especially after learning about the tension between them during the trip. There were reports that Gabby had been emotional in some of the videos that she posted while on the road, and some even thought that her behavior could have been a sign of stress or anxiety due to abuse. It was revealed that police had been called to an incident between Gabby and Brian in Moab, Utah, in August 2021, just days before Gabby's disappearance. In that incident, Gabby had been crying and appeared upset, while Brian was calm and collected. The police talked to both of them and decided to separate them for the night, but no one was arrested. This raised concerns about possible emotional or physical abuse in their relationship. Some people wondered whether Brian had been abusive to Gabby during their trip, which might have led to her death. The fact that Brian returned home without her and didn't explain her disappearance only added to the idea that something terrible had happened between them, possibly involving abuse. Theory 5. Gabby's death was not related to Brian. Lastly, a less discussed but still possible theory suggested that someone else may have been responsible for Gabby's death. According to this theory, Gabby's disappearance could have been completely unrelated to Brian. Perhaps she was targeted by someone else during her travels, and Brian had nothing to do with it at all. Though this theory was less popular, some believed that Gabby's death could have been the result of a random encounter with another person while she was alone on the road. However, there was little evidence to support this theory, and most of the evidence pointed to Brian as the main suspect. Still, it remained a possibility for some. While there are many theories surrounding Gabby Petito's case, the truth remains uncertain in many ways. The facts that have come out, combined with Brian Laundrie's actions and silence, make it clear that there are still many unanswered questions. Gabby's family continues to seek justice for her, and the world is still waiting for the full story to be revealed. Though the theories are many, one thing is certain: Gabby's life and her story have touched millions of people, and her case continues to remind us all of the importance of speaking up when something doesn't seem right. What were the theories? After Gabby Petito's disappearance and the tragic discovery of her body, many theories surfaced, each trying to explain what had happened during her road trip with Brian Laundrie. People wanted answers and tried to piece together the mystery of what went wrong during their travels. Some theories made sense based on the evidence, while others were just guesses without much proof. Let's go over some of the most talked about ideas. Theory 1. Brian Laundrie was responsible. The most widely discussed theory was that Brian Laundrie, Gabby's fiancé, was responsible for her death. This theory became the center of attention after Gabby's body was found and Brian's actions started to raise red flags. Brian had returned home to Florida without Gabby, and when asked where she was, he didn't answer. He didn't reach out to Gabby's family or give any explanation. This made many people suspicious. Why didn't he talk to the police or tell anyone where Gabby was? Some people believed that an argument between Gabby and Brian might have escalated, leading to her death. Gabby had been seen on video crying and distressed just days before she disappeared, which suggested there may have been tension between the two. There was also a police report from Utah, where Gabby had been crying and upset, and the officers spoke to both of them. No charges were filed, but the incident raised concerns about their relationship. The fact that Brian didn't report Gabby's disappearance immediately and was silent during the investigation added more suspicion. Many people thought that Brian's silence and refusal to cooperate with the police meant he was hiding something, and they believed he might be the one who caused her death. Theory 2. A domestic violence situation. Another theory that gained attention was that Gabby was a victim of domestic violence. Domestic violence occurs when one person in a relationship harms or threatens the other person, either physically or emotionally. Some people believe that Brian might have been abusive toward Gabby during their trip, which could have led to her death. In addition to the police report about Gabby being upset in Utah, there were also videos from body cameras showing Gabby crying and appearing emotionally distressed, while Brian remained calm and composed. Some viewers believed that this was a sign that Gabby might have been in an unhealthy, possibly abusive relationship with Brian. Experts in domestic violence pointed out that many victims of abuse may try to downplay their emotions or even act calm to avoid making their partner upset. This theory suggests that Brian's calm demeanor may have been a sign of control or manipulation, and that his actions might have caused Gabby's tragic end. Theory 3. A sudden argument gone wrong. Another possible theory was that Gabby's death was a result of an argument that escalated. Many people believed that the stress of traveling together for such a long period of time might have put pressure on the couple, leading to a heated argument. Some speculated that during one of these arguments, Brian might have acted out of anger, and something went terribly wrong. Since the couple was living in close quarters in their van, it's possible that they had many disagreements during their journey. Some people believed that Gabby and Brian were under emotional strain and that this might have caused an argument that led to an unintentional injury. However, while this theory seemed possible to some, the evidence didn't fully support it. Gabby's body was found in a remote area far from where the couple had been seen last, and there was no indication of an accident or self-defense. Theory 4. A stranger was involved. Another theory that gained some attention was that a stranger might have been involved in Gabby's disappearance. According to this theory, Gabby and Brian may have been at the wrong place at the wrong time, and someone else could have been responsible for what happened. Some believed that Gabby and Brian could have been victims of a random crime while on their road trip. This idea was popular among people who felt that Gabby and Brian seemed like an ordinary couple, without any indication of violence between them. However, there was little evidence to support this theory. Gabby and Brian had been in public spaces during most of their trip, and no one saw a suspicious person interacting with them. Plus, Brian's return home alone without Gabby seemed to suggest that he was the one involved, not a random stranger. Theory 5. Gabby left on her own. Some people wondered if Gabby had left on her own, deciding to end her relationship with Brian and take off to start fresh. This theory suggests that Gabby might have run away from the pressure of her relationship or the stress of living in a van for so long. However, this theory doesn't quite fit with the facts. Gabby had been in close contact with her family throughout the trip, and her last text to her mom was very unusual and didn't seem like something Gabby would say. Also, Gabby's family was certain she would never leave without telling them, and they knew she wouldn't abandon her dream of traveling and documenting her journey. The fact that Gabby's body was later found and ruled a homicide also makes this theory unlikely, as it doesn't explain how she could have disappeared without anyone knowing, only to be found dead later on. Despite all the theories, the truth about what happened to Gabby remains unclear. Some people believe that Brian Laundrie was responsible for her death, while others think that there may be other factors at play. The tragic nature of this case has left many questions unanswered, and the search for the full truth continues. Gabby Petito's story has touched the hearts of millions, and her family continues to fight for justice in her name. While the theories about what happened may never be fully resolved, Gabby's story serves as a reminder of the importance of never giving up when someone goes missing and always seeking the truth. As of today, the case of Gabby Petito continues to impact not just her family, but also the public who followed her story from the beginning. While many facts about Gabby's tragic death have been uncovered, there are still lingering questions and a lot of emotional healing left to be done for her loved ones. The investigation into Gabby's death. Gabby's death was officially ruled a homicide, and the case remains open, though Brian Laundrie is no longer alive to answer for his actions. His remains were found in October 2021 in a Florida nature reserve, and the cause of death was ruled as suicide. Because Brian took his own life, there was no trial, and the questions about his role in Gabby's death remain unanswered. Despite the closure of Brian's involvement in the case, many people believe that the lack of a public confession leaves too many questions unresolved. Why did Brian return home without Gabby? Why didn't he cooperate with the investigation? What exactly happened during their road trip that led to her death? These are questions that may never be fully answered, and it's hard to ignore the feelings of injustice and uncertainty that remain. Gabby's family and their fight for justice. Gabby's family, particularly her parents and step-parents, continue to honor her memory by advocating for missing persons and working to prevent similar tragedies from happening to others. Gabby's parents, Nicole Schmidt and Joe Petito, have used their voices to raise awareness about domestic violence, missing persons cases, and the importance of supporting families who are facing similar struggles. In 2021, Gabby's family founded the Gabby Petito Foundation, which aims to provide assistance to families whose loved ones are missing and to raise awareness about missing persons in general. Through this foundation, Gabby's family hopes to ensure that others get the help and support they need during the difficult process of searching for loved ones who may have disappeared. Gabby's parents have also been outspoken about the need for more resources for domestic violence victims and the importance of making sure people speak out when something feels wrong. By keeping Gabby's memory alive, they hope to inspire change and make sure other families don't have to go through what they've been through. Gabby's case continues to spark conversations around the world. Her story, which began as a young woman's dream road trip, became a tragic tale that resonates with so many people. Her social media presence, the sudden disappearance, and the worldwide search that followed captivated the public's attention. Many people still talk about her case, hoping for new answers, and even theorizing about what might have happened. True crime documentaries, podcasts, and TV specials about Gabby's case continue to air, as her story remains an important part of modern true crime culture. Social media platforms, especially Instagram, still feature tributes to Gabby, and the hashtag #JusticeForGabby is often used in posts about missing persons and domestic violence awareness. It's clear that her story is not forgotten. While Gabby's case may have reached a tragic conclusion with Brian Laundrie's death, there are still ongoing legal battles regarding Brian Laundrie's family. Gabby's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Chris and Roberta Laundrie, Brian's parents, claiming that they had knowledge of Gabby's disappearance before the police were notified. The lawsuit argued that the Laundries had helped Brian evade capture and did not offer any help to find Gabby. As of now, the lawsuit is still in the early stages, and the legal system will continue to examine the details. The Petito family's fight for justice is not just about Brian Laundrie anymore. It's also about holding his parents accountable for their actions, or lack thereof. during the time Gabby was missing. While many of the facts have come to light, Gabby's death continues to stir emotions in people around the world. Many people see Gabby as a symbol of hope, as a story sparked important discussions about relationships, domestic violence, and the need to always speak up if something feels wrong. It has led to significant online movements, with people sharing their own stories and supporting each other in the face of similar struggles. Gabby's story has inspired people to become more aware of the dangers in relationships and the importance of supporting loved ones who might be struggling. Many people have shared that they now look at their own relationships with a more critical eye, wondering if there are signs of abuse that should be addressed. Despite the heartbreak and challenges, Gabby's family remains determined to keep her legacy alive. Through their foundation and advocacy, they hope to continue helping other families in similar situations. They also continue to push for changes in the way missing persons are handled, advocating for more immediate attention and resources to help bring loved ones home. Though the loss of Gabby is something her family will never fully heal from, they continue to honor her memory by helping others and working to ensure that her story leads to lasting change. Gabby Petito's legacy. Gabby Petito's story, while tragic, has left a lasting impact on the world. Her case highlighted the importance of family, communication, and the need to take action when something feels wrong. Even though the case may have ended in tragedy, Gabby's memory continues to live on in the work her family does, and in the hearts of the millions who followed her journey. While the questions surrounding her death may never be fully answered, Gabby's story has sparked important conversations about justice, safety, and awareness. Her legacy lives on in the ongoing search for truth and in the lives of those who continue to fight for justice in her name. As of today, the murder of Gabby Petito has left a profound impact on her family, friends, and the entire world. While her case has gained widespread attention, there are still unanswered questions, and the repercussions of her tragic death continue to unfold in many ways. Despite the fact that Brian Laundrie is no longer alive to face charges, the investigation into Gabby's death, the actions of Brian and his family, and the lasting legacy of her story continue to shape the current situation. After Gabby's body was discovered, all eyes turned to Brian Laundrie, her fiancé, who had returned home without her. For weeks, Brian was the primary person of interest in Gabby's death, but he remained silent, refusing to cooperate with the police or Gabby's family. On September 17, 2021, after returning to Florida alone, Brian went missing. The FBI launched a search, and on October 20, 2021, Brian's remains were found in a Florida nature reserve. The cause of Brian's death was determined to be suicide, and while this brought some closure to his involvement in Gabby's death, it also left many questions unanswered. Was Brian solely responsible for Gabby's death, or was there something else that happened during their road trip? With Brian no longer alive to answer those questions, his death marked the end of the investigation into his role in Gabby's death, but it didn't bring complete closure to the case. The Laundrie family's legal situation. Gabby's family has not only had to cope with the pain of losing her, but they also found themselves in a legal battle with Brian Laundrie's family. Gabby's parents, Nicole Schmidt and Joe Petito, filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Chris and Roberta Laundrie in 2022. The Petito family claims that Brian's parents knew their son was involved in Gabby's disappearance before they notified the police and actively helped him avoid capture. The wrongful death lawsuit is ongoing, and the Petito family is seeking justice. While Brian's death ended the criminal investigation into his actions, the Petito family hopes to hold Brian's parents accountable for their role in his disappearance and the subsequent pain Gabby's family has suffered. The lawsuit adds another layer of complexity to the case, as it challenges the Laundrie's actions during the time Gabby was missing. Though Gabby's tragic death has been difficult for her family to bear, they continue to honor her memory in powerful ways. Gabby's parents have used their grief to advocate for missing persons and domestic violence awareness. In September 2021, they founded the Gabby Petito Foundation. The foundation works to support other families who are dealing with the loss or disappearance of a loved one and to help raise awareness about domestic violence and abuse. Nicole Schmidt and Joe Petito have been vocal in their efforts to improve the way missing persons cases are handled. Through their foundation, They aim to make sure that no family has to go through the pain of waiting for answers like they did. Their advocacy for domestic violence victims has also been a way to ensure that Gabby's story can help prevent similar tragedies from happening in the future. The Petito family continues to speak out about the importance of recognizing warning signs in relationships and how to support those who may be experiencing abuse. They believe Gabby's story can make a difference and help other families find justice and healing. Gabby's case captured the hearts and minds of millions of people around the world. News outlets, true crime documentaries, podcasts, and social media have continued to follow the case, keeping Gabby's story alive. While the case has been resolved in many ways, it continues to draw attention because of its emotional depth and the unresolved questions surrounding Brian Laundrie's actions. Documentaries and television specials about Gabby's life, disappearance, and death continue to air, and social media platforms still feature tributes to her. Hashtags like #JusticeForGabby and #FindGabby continue to be used by people who want to raise awareness about missing persons cases and who want to honor Gabby's memory. Gabby's story has also helped shed light on the issue of domestic violence and how it affects young people in relationships. People across the globe are more aware of the risks of abuse and are taking steps to educate themselves about how to help victims and how to spot warning signs in their own lives. Gabby's story is a tragic reminder of the dangers that can lurk in relationships, even ones that seem perfect on the outside. It has sparked important conversations about domestic violence, missing persons, and the need for better support systems for those who may be in unhealthy or unsafe situations. Her case has also led to changes in how missing persons cases are handled, with calls for quicker action from law enforcement. The Gabby Petito Foundation aims to bring about real change by ensuring that other families don't experience the same painful wait for answers that Gabby's family endured. While Gabby's family continues to mourn her loss, they are determined to keep her legacy alive by helping others. Their efforts in raising awareness about domestic violence and providing resources for missing persons have made a real difference in the lives of others who are dealing with similar struggles. The story of Gabby Petito has left a lasting impact on the world. Her bright spirit, her love for adventure, and her tragic death continue to be a source of reflection and change. Although the answers Gabby's family desperately sought may never fully come, their courage to continue their advocacy for others ensures that Gabby's story will never be forgotten. Gabby's legacy is one of love, hope, and the power of speaking out. Her story serves as a reminder to never ignore the warning signs of abuse, to seek help when needed, and to always trust your instincts when something doesn't feel right. Gabby Petito's memory lives on not only in the hearts of her family and friends, but in the millions of people whose lives were touched by her story. How did her family and the public react? When Gabby Petito was first reported missing, her family was filled with worry and fear. They immediately began their search, reaching out to anyone who could help. As time passed, the pain of not knowing what happened to her grew. Gabby's disappearance quickly turned from a missing person case into a tragic, high-profile event that would capture the attention of people around the world. Gabby's family's response. Gabby's parents, Nicole Schmidt and Joe Petito, were devastated by their daughter's disappearance. As soon as they realized that they had not heard from her for several days, they reached out to the police and began pleading with the public for help. Gabby's mother, Nicole, was particularly vocal about her fears. She was incredibly worried because Gabby was always in touch with her family. The silence was unusual, and as the days passed with no word from Gabby, her worry turned into heartbreak. In interviews and press conferences, Gabby's family expressed their deep concern for her safety. Nicole was especially emotional, speaking to the public about how much her daughter meant to her. She described Gabby as a caring, kind young woman who would never disappear on her own. Nicole's strength during those early days of the investigation inspired many people to keep searching, hoping that Gabby would be found safe. Gabby's father, Joe Petito, also took to social media and TV appearances to ask for help in finding his daughter. He spoke about how he missed his daughter and how important it was for the public to help find her. Together, Gabby's parents kept her story in the media and constantly urged the public to come forward with any information that could help find her. When Gabby's body was discovered, the Petito family's grief became public. The loss of their daughter was a heartbreaking blow. They had hoped and prayed for Gabby's safe return, but now they were forced to face the painful reality that she was gone. Despite their heartbreak, the Petito family maintained their commitment to finding justice for Gabby and honoring her memory. Gabby's disappearance immediately sparked widespread media coverage. People across the country, and even around the world, followed the story closely. The case became a topic of conversation, and the hashtag #FindGabby went viral. Social media platforms, news outlets, and even celebrities spoke out about Gabby's case, showing their support for her family and raising awareness about missing persons. The public's interest in Gabby's case grew daily. News outlets updated the public on the investigation, and many people followed the case online. People shared Gabby's photos, spread the word about her disappearance, and encouraged others to keep looking. There was a sense of urgency from the public to help Gabby's family, with many hoping for a miracle and praying that Gabby would be found alive. When the news broke that Gabby's body had been discovered, people were heartbroken. The sudden shift from hope to grief hit many of Gabby's supporters hard. People who had never met her were devastated by the news. Many expressed their sorrow on social media, sending their condolences to Gabby's family. It felt like the whole world was mourning her loss. As the details of the investigation became public, the public reaction shifted toward anger. People were furious with Brian Laundrie's refusal to cooperate with the investigation and his silence about Gabby's whereabouts. Social media erupted with theories and speculations about what happened to Gabby, but the biggest question remained unanswered. Why did Brian refuse to help? The public's anger turned into frustration, as many believed that Brian Laundrie was responsible for Gabby's death. When Brian went missing after returning to Florida without Gabby, the anger grew. People were frustrated that someone could be so cold and avoid facing the consequences of their actions. His disappearance only added to the mystery, and the public eagerly awaited answers. Even though Gabby's life was tragically cut short, her story sparked a movement. People from all walks of life began to talk more about domestic violence, missing persons, and the importance of speaking up when something doesn't feel right in a relationship. Gabby's case raised awareness of these issues and made many people more vigilant and more supportive of victims of abuse. Gabby's parents, Nicole and Joe, have since used their grief to help others. They founded the Gabby Petito Foundation to help families whose loved ones have gone missing and to provide support to victims of domestic violence. By sharing their story and raising awareness, Gabby's parents hope to prevent others from going through what they endured. Gabby's case also led to changes in how missing persons cases are handled. Her story highlighted the need for faster response times from law enforcement and greater attention to domestic violence in young relationships. The public began calling for reforms in how missing persons are handled, especially when the victim is young and vulnerable. The outpouring of support for Gabby's family showed that the world cared deeply about what happened to her and wanted to ensure that something like this didn't happen again. The role of social media. Social media played a major role in keeping Gabby's story alive. Platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok were filled with people showing their support for her family and keeping the search for Gabby in the public eye. Many people felt connected to Gabby through a social media presence and used these platforms to help spread awareness about her disappearance. After Gabby's body was found, social media continued to be an important space for public mourning. People posted about their heartbreak, but they also shared messages of support for Gabby's family. Her story sparked countless conversations about safety, relationships, and justice. The public support of Gabby's family grew stronger as more details came to light, and her story continued to resonate with people around the world. Final thoughts. Gabby's death has left an indelible mark on her family, friends, and the world. Her family has shown immense strength in their pursuit of justice and a dedication to raising awareness about important issues. The public's response has been one of deep empathy, support, and, in some cases, outrage. Gabby's story has touched hearts across the world, and her memory continues to inspire people to make a difference. Though Gabby's family still grieves the loss of their daughter, they have made it their mission to ensure that she is never forgotten. Gabby Petito's legacy will live on in the advocacy of her parents, the public's ongoing support, and the lessons learned from her tragic story. As the investigation into Gabby Petito's tragic death unfolded, the case made national headlines, sparking public outcry and a growing sense of urgency. Even though many aspects of the case were clear, some details still left questions unanswered, and the public has been left with a sense of incomplete closure. Let's review the final details of the case and what the future holds for Gabby's legacy. On September 19, 2021, nearly 3 weeks after Gabby was last heard from, her remains were found in a remote area of Spread Creek, near Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. The area where Gabby's body was found was not far from where she had posted her last Instagram update. This discovery confirmed what Gabby's family feared. Their daughter was gone, and the world had lost a bright, talented young woman. The cause of death was ruled a homicide, and it was clear that Gabby had been murdered. However, the specifics of how or why this happened remained a mystery until more details came out during the investigation. After Gabby's body was found, attention quickly turned to Brian Laundrie, Gabby's fiancé. Brian was the last person to be with Gabby during her trip, and his refusal to cooperate with the police only raised suspicion. Brian returned home to Florida on September 1, 2021, driving the van that Gabby had been using for their road trip, but without Gabby. His lack of explanation and his refusal to speak to the authorities made people suspicious. He went missing shortly after Gabby's body was discovered, leading many to believe that he was involved in her death. The search for Brian became a nationwide hunt, and his whereabouts were closely followed by the media and the public. Eventually, on October 20, 2021, Brian's remains were found in a Florida nature reserve, not far from his family's home. The cause of death was determined to be suicide. This discovery left many feeling that Brian would never have to answer for his actions, adding to the pain and frustration of Gabby's family. Following Brian's death, Gabby's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Chris and Roberta Laundrie, Brian's parents. The Petito family alleged that Brian's parents had prior knowledge of their son's involvement in Gabby's disappearance and that they had tried to assist him in evading capture. The lawsuit claims that the Laundrie family caused Gabby's family emotional distress by not coming forward with information about Gabby's disappearance. It argues that the Laundries were aware that Brian had returned home without Gabby but did nothing to help the search for her. The case remains in the courts, and the outcome will determine whether Brian's parents will face any legal consequences for their actions during the investigation. While Gabby's family continues to mourn their loss, they have turned their grief into action. In September 2021, Nicole Schmidt and Joe Petito founded the Gabby Petito Foundation, an organization aimed at raising awareness for missing persons cases and supporting the families of missing loved ones. The foundation works to provide resources for families experiencing the trauma of having a loved one go missing, and it seeks to improve the way missing persons are handled by law enforcement. The foundation also aims to raise awareness about domestic violence and its impact on young relationships, using Gabby's story to spark conversations and provide education on how to identify signs of abuse. Gabby's family continues to be advocates for justice, not just for Gabby, but for all families who are facing the same pain and uncertainty. They honor Gabby's memory by helping others in similar situations and pushing for changes in the system to better protect victims of domestic violence and improve the handling of missing persons cases. Gabby's story has touched millions of people around the world. Social media campaigns, news coverage, and true crime documentaries have kept her case in the public eye. People continue to follow Gabby's story, sharing their thoughts and spreading awareness of missing persons and domestic violence issues. Her case has sparked discussions about the need for more resources to help missing persons, as well as the importance of speaking out when something doesn't seem right in a relationship. Gabby's legacy continues to be one of hope, awareness, and the need for justice. Her story is now part of a larger conversation about the importance of supporting victims of abuse and ensuring that their voices are heard. While Gabby's case has brought awareness to important issues, her family's search for justice is not over. Though Brian Laundrie's death ended the possibility of a trial, the wrongful death lawsuit against his parents continues. This case could shed more light on the Laundrie family's role in the events leading up to Gabby's death. As for Gabby's family, the journey isn't just about seeking justice. It's about ensuring that Gabby's story continues to inspire change. By advocating for better treatment of missing persons cases, raising awareness about domestic violence, and offering support to other families in similar situations, Gabby's family hopes to ensure that their daughter's memory is a lasting force for good. Gabby Petito's lasting impact. Gabby Petito's story is a heartbreaking one, but it has led to a movement for change. Through the strength of her family, the love of her friends, and the outpouring of support from the public, Gabby's life continues to make a difference. Though she is gone, Gabby's legacy lives on in the people she inspired and the awareness her case brought to important issues. Justice for Gabby remains a rallying cry, and her family continues to honor her memory by ensuring that no one forgets the lessons learned from her story. Gabby's case will always be a reminder that we must never stop searching for the truth, and that we must always fight for those who can't fight for themselves. Gabby Petito may be gone, but her memory will never fade.